Hello and welcome to episode 1082 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, August 2nd. And I'm your host, Paul Sporer. It's trade deadline. I'm with Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon. We're late evening because of the deadline.
Hey, it's good to see that you cleared COVID protocols to come back and be able to discuss things on the trade deadline.
Sheesh, I should redo that intro. It was terrible, but that's all right. We got through it. It happens when you're off for a little bit. You know, you get a little rusty. But we got lots to talk about. We've been talking in different capacities all day. You were on a show. Nick and I did our trade deadline special. So we had another banger. It was another excellent trade deadline. What we're going to do is we're going to go team by team and just talk about guys impacted by trades. So not just the folks that were traded, but of course, different players that may be rising and falling because of those trades. So we're going to go east to west, AL, NL, starting by standings order. So we'll start with the Yankees. And Frankie Montas, Harrison Bader are the big two here. And the reliever additions, they're not going to change the closer landscape, Trevino nor Efros. So I don't really think those matter. And of course, Bader's on the sidelines right now, so we'll get to him in a moment. He doesn't really have a whole lot going on. It's really Montas. So I think the primary question becomes the home park change. Do you have any overarching concerns about moving from Oakland to New York? And would it be enough to make a substantial move down the rankings for Montas for you?
I mean, I definitely have some concerns. He's going from pretty much the best pitcher's park in baseball to a hitter's park. And not only that, you're moving from a division in which, while he doesn't get to pitch against his own team, like still had other bottom feeder teams in the division, to the AL East that does not have bottom feeder teams. I mean, the Orioles are in the hunt for a playoff spot at this point, right? And Boston is still, especially once they get healthy, will still have a pretty damn good offense. So you've got to have some concerns, but I think that the fact that his win potential just went from the worst team in the league potentially to the best,
there you go,
probably offsets it.
Very much should.
I think at worst it's a lateral move, and it's potentially a huge move for his value, getting to go to one of the best teams in baseball. So I think my only concern with Montas is he healthy, and can he stay healthy the rest of the way? Because he has dealt with, arm injury already this year. We thought there was a potential that it could tank his trade value. It clearly did not. And thank God he's finally out of Oakland, where he can shave his face and have an actual baseball career that means something.
His velo was down almost 2 miles an hour last time out for Montas. That is a little bit of a concern, and that's what you were talking about with tanking his value. It clearly did not. I thought they got a good return. Obviously, we'll talk about that when we get to the A's, because a couple of those guys could be making an impact this year. What about Bader? He's been out with the, I think, plantar fasciitis, which really sucks, man. It's really broken up what was looking like a potential breakout year. And am I particularly bummed because of my, exposure to him in fantasy leagues? Absolutely. I'm absolutely pissed because of that, because things were going really well. 15 steals, 5 homers, 256 average. He was a nice piece in the outfield for so many ball clubs, and now he's been out for a minute. He's only played 72 games, and he's not expected back until like late August. But what do you see here? Can he be a September hero in the Bronx with Harrison Bader?
I mean, he definitely can. The question is, like, where does he hit in this lineup? It's probably at the bottom, right? Like, I just can't see him necessarily working his way to the top when you've got.
Isn't that where he was hitting in St. Louis?
Yeah, but it's it still kind of sucks.
But as far as a change, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it doesn't suck, because it is worse at the bottom. Just statistically, that's a proven fact. You're 100% right. But it's not like he's going from 3 to 8. He's 7, 8, 9 and staying 7, 8, 9, probably up to 7, I think, because he'll take over for Hicks when he comes back. And, we'll see where Hicks is at. He could lose some playing time, though, too. Bader could.
I think that's the kind of the bigger question is if, and this is a big if with the Yankees, right? If everybody is healthy, how many days a week does he play? Because Hicks has to play. Once Stanton's back, he's going to play. Judge, obviously. Judge is going to hit 90 home runs this year.
Oh, my gosh. He's so amazing.
Like,
it's so awesome, dude. It's so awesome.
We're always going to have bad calls, but my fading Aaron Judge call is clearly the worst call of my season. Like, it's not even close. Like, and I still stand by
a tough one.
Why I said it, but like,
well, what was your reasoning?
Well, because he wasn't vaccinated, and there was talk that guys who weren't vaccinated in New York weren't going to be able to play.
I tried to give you one back for the Camberwell thing because I told you not to get on that stuff too much. The Toronto one ended up being an issue.
Yeah, so that one, that one obviously going to backfire, and he's going to get paid as long as my Giants aren't the ones paying him. I'll be super, super happy for him.
I'll say, at least it wasn't a skills based thing. I think that actually works. No. I think you should be fine with that. You made a calculated effort. You were worried about, again, for people that don't remember, there was like some concerns that like the Kyrie Irving thing.
Well, yeah, Kyrie wasn't allowed to play at home.
Like, would be in the case for them. And then, but it's just like with so many games in baseball, I knew it was going to get resolved, or I felt super, super, super comfortable that it would, either via the law itself or him getting a vax there. But at least you weren't out skills wise, because he's been absolutely tremendous. Judge is a total god. Let's move out to Toronto, and they were in late. Speaking of vaccinations, it happened. Yeah, and Witt has to buckle like a punk. Like I think it's so weak, and I feel like probably should have just been vaxxed anyway. I don't really understand why not. But to not do it just kind of cause, and then say like, well, if I get moved, sure, if I'm in a race, and now he gets moved to the team that is the reason you have to do it. Dude, that's nuts. That's nuts. Yeah. I'd respect it more of at least if he had some conviction, but this just seems kind of lame. But he does go to Toronto. So how do you feel about him joining that Toronto lineup? Whit Merrifield has actually been on fire for a good while. Except those first early games were so painfully bad that they're still, pardon me, they're still weighing down the line. But if you look over his last, pulling it up here, 303 plate appearances, he's at 280, 333, 426 with 6 homers and 12 steals, which is a 15-30 pace. So he's been himself. Witt's back. So how good can he be in Toronto?
I mean, I think he can be pretty good. The question is, how much does he steal? The Blue Jays are 22nd in baseball in terms of stolen bases this year, comparatively speaking to, Kansas City, who is top 10 and has, been top 5 in a number of years. So does the stolen base numbers continue to kind of slide down? I mean, I think he's going to bat at the top or near the top of that lineup. He's going to hit for average. He's going to score a boatload of runs. Question is, how much of that stolen base, how many stolen bases does he lose in the process? And is that what you need from him?
Springer's got 11. Springer's got 11 attempts, and Bichette has 13. I don't think it's going to hurt him. I think Whit Merrifield's going to be trusted that, like, hey, we see your base running skills. They're evident. You can do your thing on the bases. You're getting on base and you're not running us out of innings. I don't think he's going to be hurt by that. I think he should be all right. I am curious if you think this spells the end for Santiago Espinal, like even in 15-team leagues, because isn't this just going to decimate his playing time to where he's just spotting in to give guys a breather at this point?
I would think so. I mean, I guess, kind of looking at where, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Weirdly, roster resource has Whit Merrifield on the bench. I don't think that is.
I don't see that happening. Espinal's a nice player, man. He's a nice player to have, and he can be part of a winning club. One of those fan favorite types too, that kind of, scrapper. But he's not better than Whit. He's not.
He's definitely not, especially when you trade for a guy at the deadline. You're going to make sure he's getting plenty of time. Espinal has, played at second, third, and short. Maybe he just gives these guys days off, and he can find his way. You did hear me say
that, right?
Oh no, I didn't.
I did say that. Yeah,
okay.
That's what I was saying.
Maybe he can find 4 days a week, and so like in deeper leagues that'll have value, but definitely takes a hit with this move.
Could that hurt Kirk indirectly then? Because the DH could be one of those spots, because like otherwise Bichette and Chapman and Witt, those guys are gamers. They don't have to come out. Like, they play all the time. And Toronto doesn't have anything secured to where they can really be resting guys. I think Espinal's cooked playing time wise. I could see.
I can't imagine they take Kirk out of. Yeah, I don't think they want to take Kirk out of the lineup.
But that's why I'm trying to finagle where these ABs come from.
Can he play the outfield at all? Like I don't think he hasn't played this year.
Has he played ever?
I don't know. I will look and see.
I don't know. I don't know if they want to bring Gurriel back on the infield. I don't think he's played on the infield in a minute. He used to have that sort of flexibility. He still carries it in MLB The Show.
He has no career plate appearances in the outfield.
Yeah, so I don't know for Espinal. I mean, and he was a nice little player, but if that 15 team was kind of the perfect spot for him, 6 homers, 5 steals, 268 average, 39 runs.
Things happen, right? Like when he's one injury away from being a full-time player. Yeah.
Anywhere on the infield. Right, like whatever happens on the infield, he would be the prime beneficiary. Even if it wasn't, even if it was first base. Not saying he would play first, but they would probably finagle it around and put Witt at first, and then he plays again. So I agree with that. But are you holding him in a 15 team?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean not unless I'm like there's like really nothing on the waiver wire.
Yeah, I think he's cuttable there. They got Mitch White from the Dodgers, who's going to come over, and he's the 6th man right now. So, he's Stripling part 2, but he gives them some depth. Would you speculate on him? I mean, because he needs something to open up. So is he a hold in like 15s, or is he back to the wire for Mitch White?
I tend to think he's kind of back to the wire.
He might be in the minors too to stay stretched.
Yeah.
They don't need him in the pen.
He just gives up so much contact. He's got an almost 90% zone contact rate this year. And that is a recipe for disaster in the AL East. Like you're going up against teams that will seek that bad fastball, and especially if he leaves it in the zone, which he tends to do too often, he's going to get hit around. Like it's just I know that he's a former prospect of note. I don't necessarily want to call him a top prospect, but a prospect of note. But he just never developed into anything more than probably a back end of the rotation type of guy.
I think you're right. Like I have hope, but at the same time, like if LA didn't extract it much beyond where we're at here, which is like a decent enough guy who can spot, but probably best in the bullpen, then he's probably best in the bullpen. So
he's a perfect 6th man. He can be a long guy.
Mitch White is perfect 6th. I agree.
So he's going to serve the exact purpose that the Blue Jays need from it. And I mean, Kikuchi has been hit or miss and mostly missed all season. I know he had a great last start, and I used that start to trade him in a big dynasty league to get him off my roster and get something in return. But it was against the Tigers. You're just not that's just not a level of competition we're worried about. So
no.
I mean, Mitch White, no, not interesting. Not even in. I mean, outside of leagues where
AL only could be interesting a little bit.
And there's those leagues where you get starts limits, and he can be used as an RP or an SP. You got weird rules like that. They might have some interest, but I don't think he's. But
it's very niche for Mitch White, even as a player that I do like. I got to see more before I'm really getting back in fantasy wise. And absolutely. The relief additions that they made with Bass and Pop don't affect anything fantasy wise. I do like Zach Pop though. And I would not be surprised if he becomes a stud reliever in the near future. Dude throws 98-mile-an-hour sinkers, 63% ground ball rate. If they can figure out a slider to be a swing and miss, to the moon for Zach Pop.
There were a lot of people that were like, what the hell? This is what they get for Jordan Groshans. Groshans never developed into the top-tier prospect that people completely thought that he was going to be. He's not on most prospect guys top 200 or top 300 lists.
It's anymore. Name value.
It's completely name value. And for them to get their biggest weakness is pitching. And so they didn't go out and get a major starter at the deadline because they went and got these 2 guys that can help lengthen that bullpen. I thought it was a very astute move. Maybe Groshans can find something in Miami, but these are 2 legit good relief arms for that bullpen. It doesn't help in fantasy at all, but Like from a real life baseball perspective, it made a lot of sense.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit more about Groshans with Miami, but I kind of liked it both ways on that deal there. It made a lot of sense. Let's go out to Tampa Bay. Of course, they're always making at least some small moves. They were rumored in some other things. Nothing really came to fruition. So I believe they were done yesterday outside of, literally nothing today, because even Garrett Clevenger was yesterday. So it boils down to Jose Siri and David Peralta from a little bit ago with Peralta. Siri, I think, is more impactful because with the rash of injuries that they've had to the outfield, that's why they got two guys. They've got Kiermaier, Margot, Harold Ramirez on the IL. Siri's going to slot in and play. He's shown some real intrigue in the minors. He's got some stout minor league numbers, but a lot of swing and miss, Justin. 33% in his 147 plate appearances this year and 26% in the 78 AAA appearances as well. Can Siri overcome this swing and miss to be impactful?
I don't think so. I mean, this feels like, they DFA'd Brett Phillips, who then ended up in Baltimore today. This is a Spider-Man meme. Like, it's the younger version of Brett Phillips who, without the charm and charisma of Brett Phillips, who we all fucking love. Like, I love Brett Phillips. Why you do my boy like this?
He's great.
Just he's genuinely good dude who loves the game of baseball. Like, he's just infectious. I don't really get the move, honestly. Like, I mean, I know like they need, pieces just for that outfield, but for a team that has been so close so many times to breaking through for a World Series, to not make a big move here, when there were so many big moves, like,
what would you want to see them do? Mostly
go get Wilson Contreras, Andy, and Happ.
Yeah, I knew that's where you were going to go too. And
like they had they had a huge needed catcher. They've got a huge needed center field.
Yep.
No one apparently wanted to pay Chicago what they wanted, which is
prices were high. I think it's because they did so well last year. Teams were afraid of getting smoked.
I just
think that influences it at all. Like, I'm not even kidding. I feel like that might influence it. Like, they did so well last year. Like, well, we don't want to get taken this year. Remember how well they did last year? What if they're starting with like Curtis Mead and Heriberto Hernandez? Like,
I don't think you have to do that on a rental. Like, I just, I mean, I know Happ's not a rental.
Happ's not a rental.
But with Contreras, Contreras would have been huge for that organization.
But rentals, the rental market is up.
It is for sure.
A lot.
It was a seller's market, absolutely for sure. But I just don't know how you walk out of the trade deadline when almost every other team, outside of like the usual like non-buying suspects, are making huge moves. Like, there is a clear division between the Yankees, the Astros, I think the Twins now, and everybody else in the American League. Like, and in part because of their big moves at the deadline. Like, I just don't know how. It's the Rays, right? The Rays are just going to do what the Rays do.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, they made a big move for Nelson Cruz last year. It didn't work out, but don't let that sour you.
Peralta isn't that different than trying to get Cruz. I mean, because Cruz wasn't hitting that well. Like, actual Cruz is better than Peralta, but Peralta has a 110 WRC plus. I don't know. I don't mind the two outfield moves. I hear you. Like, it felt like they were going to do something else. Catcher seemed like an opportunity for them, especially with so many. There actually are some catchers available out there. Maybe they could have gone for something bigger with the Sean Murphy. They've linked up with Oakland before, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't like the prices, and they're always willing to kind of cut the corners and piece things together. I'm still not going to count them out. I'm not
going to count them out
even
either.
Looking at this dog shit offense, dude. It's so
I don't know how they plan to compete with some of these like super teams that we're seeing being built. Like, somebody mentioned on Twitter, like, this is turning into the NBA, like, with these super teams that are built. Yeah, because like there are clear divisions between teams that will pay,
but that creates
for talent
better deadlines. That creates better deadlines. So
this was one of my favorite deadlines we've had in a long time. Like, this was a legit good deadline.
I totally agree. And one funny thing about Tampa Bay, by the way, as bad as that offense is, top 5 in WRC plus in July somehow. Don't ask me how, but they were 5th. So
they had so many guys rested over the All-Star break.
So where are you picking up Siri and Peralta?
I'm not
even 15.
Why would you?
Because they're going to play
Peralta's going to be a strong side platoon. Siri has got like a 170 batting average.
I hear you on Siri. He hasn't shown anything. I don't know. I think Peralta probably 15 team could be a fifth outfielder for AL for sure, of course. But that generally because they've got a pulse. Sure, but Siri's already rostered in AL, even as bad as he's been. Peralta would be coming over to the league. So yeah, okay, we're good with Tampa Bay. Let's move on to Baltimore. The Mountain, baby. They did it. And hey, big ups to them. I know it's not easy. I know it's not, especially with Mancini. He's a glue in that clubhouse. Even before the illness too, like that just got him like national attention, but he's always been a fan favorite, a go-to guy. So I get it. That's tough, but I thought they did pretty well in that deal, by the way, getting 2 23-year-old arms. Originally, I thought if he doesn't go for anything, maybe don't trade him. Don't trade him just to trade him, but 2 23-year-old arms that both project to be legit starters, like not legit meaning like they're awesome, but like guys who can actually start. Even if they're just fifth starters, that'd be pretty good. But then the Lopez one, they had to. Like, it would have been criminal to keep Jorge Lopez. I thought it was exactly like the Kendall Graveman thing last year. Made a ton of sense. It's Felix Bautista time. Thing of it is, he was probably the go-to handcuff for the deadline, so he's not as available. But for those that have him available, how do you feel about Felix Bautista as the Orioles closer for 2 months?
You gotta feel pretty good about it, right? Like, I mean, I guess they could go to Dylan Tate if Bautista struggles, and they've tried to get Tate.
But you think he gets the first? Not like with Bautista.
I think so.
You think? He's because I definitely do. I'm all in.
He's been the guy when they've given Lopez the days off.
Exactly.
That they've gone to. So like I assume that he will be a guy that they go to rest the way. You know, Lopez quietly racked up a crap ton of saves in the first half. Luckily, he's going to a team where he could potentially be the closer. So you may
Absolutely.
not, you may not, like my plethora of Lopez shares may not be ruined.
No.
So yeah,
do not cut him.
Yeah. So I think this is kind of best case scenario for those of you like you who picked up Bautista and people who had Lopez rostered like me.
Absolutely agree because I think he is going to close there, and we'll get to that with Minnesota. So they did open up things with Mancini. And it brings in focus a guy named Taran Vavra, a prospect they called up over the weekend, who has some intrigue. I'm not clouded by this, I promise, even though I'm going to bring it up. But he became like a superstar in a OOTP sim that I had. And I always remembered him because it's kind of a unique name. And I'm like, I'm waiting for this guy to come up in real life and see if he's anything. So it's a high hit tool type guy, maybe some batting average potential there. But do you like Taran Vavra as a potential 15-team pickup? Is there any intrigue getting some, at least some strong side burn in left field?
Yeah, I mean, he's somewhat interesting. A guy could potentially hit for a decent average and steal some bases. Not much power in the profile. So I wouldn't, be thinking I'm going to get much in terms of home runs or RBIs from. But
especially maybe a guy park no longer inflates him. Sorry to interrupt you, but like you used to think if a guy had a good hit tool and he's just in Camden and he breathes on it, but now we don't even get cheapies anymore.
But he's a lefty anyway, so like he's likely not going to be affected. Yeah, he's not going to. He doesn't have oppo power to begin with. So
exactly. No, you're right. You're right. That's only for righties. My bad.
So, but like he's the guy that like if he got full-time playing time, Orioles. Maybe they do consider themselves real contenders and they're going to play the best player. That would be kind of worst case scenario. Maybe he is a strong side platoon guy, but they're a team that really is looking to the future, I think, long term. And maybe they give him full run to kind of see what he has in terms of whether or not he's going to be a part of the next good Orioles team. And in that scenario, like maybe he hits 270 and can steal 10 plus bases rest of the way. And I think that, obviously that has value, especially in your 15s, but even some of your 12s, where you can kind of stream him in and out of your lineup when he's going to play.
Yeah, that's Taran Vavra. Could be an interesting player here for Baltimore, who offers some unique skills. Power is usually the thing that can not, I don't want to say be easy to find, but finding a few homers off the wire, you can usually find, but finding batting average can be tough. And he's had like very high walk rates, good contact. Batting average stuff could be there for Taran Vavra. Keep an eye on him and see what they do. But there are some other challengers for this open left field role, including the aforementioned Brett Phillips. Now, he has one of the most extreme profiles that you can possibly think. It's like diamond defense and, copper contact ability. He has a 41% strikeout rate. Is like diamond speed, and then a gold discipline. Like he's pretty good at taking walks, and even has some pop. But push come to shove, it doesn't add up to too much, unfortunately. A 42 WRC plus. Can he factor in, or does he just strike out too much to be anything more than, one of the best? I don't want to say novelty player. I was like denigrating him because I love Brett Phillips. He's awesome. But like, you know what I mean? A guy who's Munenori Kawasaki, whose hype outdoes his true skill type thing. Is that rude? I'm not trying to be rude. I love.
No, you're not trying. I love Brett Phillips too. I mean, he is your prototypical fourth outfielder, right? Like he is a guy like you don't want him starting, but he's a great guy as a defensive replacement, as a guy who can kind of come off the bench, who can pitch for you when you're down 15 runs,
or 5 runs in today's game.
Yeah. It's so weird how common that's become. Like
it's so annoying, dude. It was a fan favorite thing that became an exploit, just to save a relief.
I don't know if you follow Cut 4 on Twitter, but like I was looking at their tweets. Are they
still doing it?
It's like the only thing they do.
Oh my
that's
God!
All they tweet is.
I can't believe they're still committed to it because it's so bad. Nobody likes it anymore.
Yeah,
nobody likes it.
Well, it's because it's become overused.
Exactly, it's 5 times a week instead of 5 times a season. Anyway, sorry to derail you there, but
I don't think
Phillips,
he. Do you know how many hits he has against left-handed pitching this year?
I'm gonna say 0. I'm gonna say
0. The answer is 0. And against right-handed pitching, he's hitting 179. So it's I mean,
look, if he didn't have premium speed and defense, he wouldn't be in the majors right now. So it's awesome that he's hanging on, and I hope he keeps collecting as many paychecks as he can. He's got a great career in some sort of like entertainment once he's done.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's not for a while, but it might be close.
He'd be a fantastic color commentator.
Whatever they want to do. He's going to go to MLB Network like the second
late night radio. Like he could.
I mean, he streamed a bit. There's a world where he could become a streamer. Like he was really good at doing that. And anything he wants, it'll be his oyster there, Brett Phillips. Let's go to a prospect, Yusniel Diaz. Remember him?
I do.
At the time, he was the key piece of the Manny Machado deal. Do you know who's become the rock of that deal for them? Do you remember the other pieces that were in there?
I don't remember.
Dean Kramer was part of that deal, and I would say that he's now the big ticket for Manny Machado, and he's had a pretty good season, by the way. But Yusniel Diaz, his star has dimmed considerably, but he's getting a chance. Did you ever like him as a prospect when he was with the Dodgers and then with Baltimore? And if so, do you have any hope held on for him?
I mean, I did like him as a prospect. I wasn't as high on him maybe as other people were.
I was pretty high on him. Injuries have eaten him alive.
Yeah, but he was always like kind of profiled as this like sum of the parts kind of guy.
I feel
not
that
necessarily like he didn't have a carrying tool.
I'm a sucker for dudes like that, and then I just pray that they get 600 plate appearances. It's not good. It's not good. You want better skills, but you're like, give me 600 plate appearances. I know that can be a double-double.
Well, yeah, and he could be like a current version of Andrew Benintendi if he got 600 plate appearances.
I'm a sucker for dudes like that.
Yeah, and I like guys like that too, but you have to know where the plate appearances is coming from.
Yeah.
So he just.
And that's the majors. You got to get to the majors to even get those PAs.
Yeah. So, he's been pretty good in AAA. At the same time, he's 25
and no pop, dude. Look at the pop. It's gone. That's the
3
real
home
trick.
runs. So
that's the tough part for Yusniel Diaz. So
I don't think he's that interesting. Yeah, from a fantasy perspective.
I can't get there right now. I would favor Vavra by a mile. I would probably even favor Phillips a little bit, to be honest. So
I'm
going to keep tabs on Diaz, and if things turn, I'll be ready to jump. He's a guy I would jump pretty quickly at if I did see a glimmer. But as it stands right now, like maybe he's a bored at AAA kind of guy, and he's like coasting a bit. I don't know. I don't think he showed enough to fall back on a coast. So if he is doing that, that'd be very bad. It's more likely that the injuries for Diaz have gotten him. You look at those games played counts; they're just not that strong.
Yeah, we got to see him, and he had home run at first pitch this last year. It was fun to watch, but I don't think he's going to do much.
Not a whole lot there. No. All right, let's move over to Boston, who had an interesting deadline, and it felt like incomplete, right? It seemed like maybe they were going to sell. And I never thought like the Pham was a buy. It was one of those where it's like, oh, this is a cheap player we can get to make sure we're still keeping like a full team that is at least playing out the string in a competitive fashion, since we are 500 type deal. But the end of it is you got Pham, Hosmer, and we'll talk a little bit about the catcher situation, since they did trade their starting catcher. But let's start with Pham. He obviously leaves wonderful Cincinnati, but Boston isn't a terrible place to play. He might be banging a bunch of singles and doubles off of the Green Monster. Do you like Pham going to Boston at all?
Yes and no. It kind of depends on like once Boston gets healthy, like where he hits in that lineup. I'll be interested to see, like, I don't know if he's in the lineup tonight and where he's hitting, but it's not a bad place to hit. It's it's going to be on a much better offense. So maybe the counting categories around him, kind of boost up a little bit.
Boston tonight. Pardon me.
Hey, that's a good sign. Yeah. But like I said, like what happens once all their guys are back healthy? I don't know if that clearly
Bogarts isn't in, so that would be Bogarts. So then maybe he goes to 5, and then Purdue go down to 6.
So like I think
he takes the 1 from Duran. He's an on-base guy. Pham is
potential. I wonder, like, did they talk to him and go, hey, we'd really like to pick up your mutual option for next year? Because then it makes a lot more sense. Yeah. That this isn't so much a like, hey, we're just buying a piece to kind of fill in right now, but that, this is setting us up for, to have him next year. And they can either flip him next year, or they can just roll with him and see how it works. I mean, Pham, outside of like his, fantasy football exploits, is a pretty good hitter. I guess inside his fantasy football exploits, he's a pretty good hitter too. But
stop. Yeah, he's been all right this year. And by the way, I want to say like the 320 OBP isn't like crazy, but it's still better than Jarren Duran. So, and he walks 11% of the time. So I think he is a candidate, Pham is, to maybe get the leadoff spot when everyone gets back and healthy, like you were saying, with them getting healthy. Eric Hosmer. This is obviously a stunner. He said no to Washington, but we still move clear across the country. We just want to go to Boston. What do you think about this?
I know a lot of people are like, what the hell is Boston doing? But you have to remember that the Padres are pretty much eating the entire contract. $44 million. He's Boston's only he's only owed like 46 million or something, or 47 million. Like Boston is only on the hook for like pretty much league minimum over the next 3 years. So you're getting a league average, first baseman that's actually a pretty good defender for nothing. So like, yes, like, is he a star that you expect in Boston? Absolutely not. But it allows them to have money to go get other stars. So from that perspective, I actually like the move. Like I'm not a big Hosmer guy. Like I don't think this helps his value any or anything like that.
Well,
but
it helps his playing time because he was about to lose all of it.
Well, they were going to move him somewhere. Like he had to. They had like they couldn't let him try and blow up that trade and then just walk back into the clubhouse. Like
that shit would be hilarious. Hey, he deserves that. He has that with the no trade clause, and he deserves to be able to say no.
Absolutely. If I was him, I would have said no too. I would have been like, you're sending me to Washington, a team that is losing their 2 best players in Bell and Soto. Have you ever spent a summer in Washington, D.C.? Because I can tell you, I grew up there.
I know.
And it is absolutely atrocious. It is the worst humidity you will ever feel in your life. I don't care if you've experienced Florida or Hawaii or the tropics. There's nothing worse than DC humidity in the summer. And like, it's a great
like a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a great place to visit. It's an awful place to live. I lived there for, the first 15 years of my life. And there's a reason why I don't live there anymore. So,
that's hilarious.
I wouldn't want to get traded there either.
I think Hosmer is a very particular fit for fantasy because he is hitting 272. He has a 107 WRC plus, like 8 homers.
If you're playing in a points league with ground balls, like he is a monster.
True. I was thinking more of like batting average need where your power is covered elsewhere. Like you're really clean on power, but you've got some average sinkholes to get to that power, and then you could fit him in. Because otherwise, I just don't see it. The tough part, of course, is that he plays first, so it's first corner for a guy who has a 119 ISO. It's so gross. Boston paying league minimum according to Henry. Great
I think that's what I saw too. Yeah,
I respect that. Like that does make it a pretty savvy pickup there to at least take a shot. He's an above average bat, and a lot of players do like him too. So if the clubhouse is going to embrace him, we're not particularly big fans of him, but who gives a shit what we think? We're a couple of dweebs talking baseball on the internet. Their catcher situation, they move Vasquez. We'll talk about that when we get to Houston. Reese McGuire, they picked up, so that covers the defense at basically a 1-to-1. Plawecki starting tonight. Anything here for a C2? I mean, Plawecki is hitting dreadfully this year, but he has like a microscopic 208 BABIP, so I think that's holding him back because his core skills are fine. 18% K, 10% walk. He's been above average the last couple seasons in a small sample. It's just you're so BABIP dependent when you have 112 plate appearances. So, do you have any love for Plawecki or Reese McGuire in two catcher leagues, or are they just not cutting it enough for even C2?
Yeah, Plawecki, no. If you're playing in like a score sheet league,
I thought you were gonna make a joke about Reese McGuire.
No. If you're playing like in a defense, like a league where that like involves defense, like McGuire is a good defender, or if you're playing in a points league where misdemeanor crimes
at Dollar Tree parking lots,
yeah,
pick him up immediately. He should be rostered in a league like that.
Yeah, you want to get some exposure to that.
God, I hate you. Moving on to Minnesota. Big deadline, and you mentioned them moving up an echelon in your mind based on this deadline, and I totally agree, man. They're playing for keeps, and I respect it. I love it. They don't know how long Correa is going to be there. Push them chips in. You got Buxton healthy right now. You got Correa on the team. You got things working with a lot of different things. You got this breakout reliever in Duran, but you got to get somebody else to close because he hasn't gone back-to-back days, but twice this year. So he can't be the closer, but neither can Emilio Pagan or Tyler Duffy. So they go out and boom, they address it. Jorge Lopez, you mentioned it earlier, could not be a better landing spot for Lopez fans who were probably very nervous that he would go to Atlanta the way, Raisel Iglesias did. Instead, Lopez gets to go to a spot where the job's free and clear. Do you think he 100% takes this?
I think he does. I mean, at worst, he shares it. Maybe they give Duran the
an 80-20, I think.
Though. Yeah, but yeah, exactly. It's mostly going to go to Lopez. They also added Michael Fulmer, so like they added they added another really really good bullpen. Fulmer's been quietly really really good this year. Just getting overshadowed about how bad the team has been in Detroit.
Another Twins Tigers deadline deal when we were playing each other. We got Delman Young from them when we were playing each other, and he just came over to the other. Yeah, so they did that today. They showed Fulmer going to the other dugout.
But like I think you're going to hear a lot of talk on podcasts or in articles and stuff about the trade deadline and like what matters, what doesn't, blah blah blah. And what is overshadowed is just how great of a pickup this is for Tyler Mahle, in his fantasy value, and for the Twins because Molly's under team control for another season. And so like they're going to get Maeda back next year. They're going to, hopefully Bailey Ober will be healthy, so they're going to have Sonny Gray, Molly, Joe Ryan, Maeda, Ober. Like that's already a really, really good rotation. They didn't have to spend any extra money really to go do that, which means if Correa does opt out at the end of the year, like they can spend that Correa money to go get, big holes filled in the offense. And Jorge Lopez is under team control for I think a couple more seasons.
Yeah, for sure. He doesn't have much service time at all.
Yeah, I think he's a free agent in 2025 if I'm remembering correctly. I think this is a fantastic trade deadline. No one's going to like you stand up and give them an A. But this is an A from me.
Yeah, why wouldn't anybody give it? Like it's a resounding A.
It's not a flashy. It's people are going to give, the big moves, the Montas, the Sotos but in a division in which no one else was buying. We're going to talk about the Guardians and the White Sox.
We have
Royals were sellers.
We have
the Tigers.
No notable moves.
Yeah,
in this division. And KC barely. I just got to ask.
And the Twins have been one of the cheaper teams of this division. And they went, yeah, you know what? You guys are going to make moves. We're going to make moves. And they made moves that fit inside of their salary constraints and made their team markedly better. And I think the best team in that division right now. So good on the Twins.
I think they were before this, and they reinforced themselves substantially. And
on
your
paper,
point,
they shouldn't be. Like on paper, the White Sox should be the best team in this division,
but they just can't get it going.
And it's shocking that the White Sox didn't make any moves.
Their managers fall asleep in the first inning, so
unreal, dude. Like
I think that place is burning from the inside. Like I think they're going to melt that one after this year. There's going to be a house cleaning. They're going to revamp a bunch of things and try to come back next year, but they got to cut TLR out. And if they don't, then they're destined.
And Rick Hahn. Like, I mean, what is Rick Hahn doing right now? Like, I don't understand this.
I don't know how much control does he have. Reinsdorf
clearly not enough
TLR. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm crushing him on it. It depends. I don't
know how you make no moves.
I think it's such a poison environment. I agree. I don't know. It was shocking. It was shocking. So we have nothing else in the Central really, except for KC's second base. They called up a guy named Michael Garcia. I gotta be honest, I don't know anything about him. He's penciled in as a bench guy there, with Nicky Lopez going to second, Bobby Witt at short, and Hunter Dozier at third. So, does this inadvertently open up a spot full-time for Prado and Pasquantino to play?
I think that's the big move.
There we go. That's
is Prado gets to play full-time. Garcia is really interesting if he does get run because he steals bases at an unreal clip. 27 stolen bases this year in Double A. In 369 plate appearances. So if he
hit pretty well in Double A too,
yeah. And so far it's only 19 plate appearances, but he's in 316. No stolen bases, but if he gets run, if he gets run, he's definitely not gonna hit 316, but if he could hit 250, maybe he steals 15 bags the rest of the way. He could be the Mondesi replacement. Rest of the way. So he's a guy I think just to monitor his playing time moving forward.
Yes, that's Michael Garcia. He's up right now in a bench capacity. He's going to continue to have that, but maybe spots in a little bit more. So it does, like I said, indirectly open up the fact that now Prado and Pasquantino can play every single day without incident. In fact, Prado, they pretty much have been already, but now it's locked and loaded. They don't have to worry about Pasquantino, Dozier, Prado trio.
And once Edward Olivares is back, he should have pretty close to full run too. So
yes. Oh, by the way, how do they not trade Michael A. Taylor?
I don't know. I guess they just didn't get.
I thought
lots of teams.
I know a lot of teams that's what I'm saying.
I don't know how.
I thought Houston would. I thought Houston would get him.
Yeah, I don't know how it didn't happen. But
so that Olivares coming back though would then cramp Prado, right? He goes right back to being cramped.
Oh, you could go play. You could go DH.
No, Perez is back. You're playing Melendez and Perez.
Oh, that's
DH
true.
is no longer available in this team right now.
Maybe not. Yeah.
So Prado's win might be short-lived, or Pasquantino. It might be who is playing better. And right now, Pasquantino's got an 87 WRC plus in 125 plate appearances, and Prado's got a 105, but only in 52 plate appearances. He's striking out 33% of the time too. So neither has really asserted themselves, neither Pasquantino nor Prado, as a must-have. Very small samples though, so monitor both.
They also hate Edward Olivares. They're not allowed to continuously send him down. So easily could still be Prado, and they
injured him. His quad was fine.
Yeah.
They hit him. Hit him. They Nancy Kerrigan their own guy.
Ned Yost came out of retirement.
He Yosted him. They call it Yosting. Yeah. They've done it before. They Yost Mondesi every once in a while when he gets going too fast.
I've seen it.
It's actually when they look at porn. But it's bad. Let's go to Houston.
This is all thrills episode.
Let's go to Houston, and we're not even through the American League yet, dude.
I know.
Let's go to Houston. Trey Mancini, Christian Vasquez. When they lay out a plan, they get it done. What they have to do: first base, ideally somebody who can also play outfield. Lefty reliever, Will Smith. Catcher upgrade, Christian Vasquez. They got it done. So Trey Mancini, this is a massive upgrade because what we were talking about earlier with the Camden Wall, right? Going from that to the Crawford boxes. Could he not be a second half league winner type?
Yep.
I'm talking hitting 20 homers from here forward.
And in 10 and 12 team leagues, he's on the wire.
Exactly.
So run to the wire if you're in one of these leagues where he got dropped. Because
you might end up cutting him. He might just be ho-hum.
Sure.
But the upside is that he can hit 20 homers the rest of the season.
Absolutely.
I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
So, I think he could be incredible. This is a colossal move. It normally wouldn't be. But again, it goes back to that wall and how much that changes things with him. He's up to 78% at ESPN, but that's still 20%. So just make sure you check. He should not be available anywhere, Trey Mancini. And then what about Vasquez moving from Boston to Houston? Pretty neutral, right? He's still just a C2.
It's either neutral or it's a minor downgrade. And I only say that because while Martin Maldonado sucks at hitting, he plays a lot, and the pitching staff trusts him.
Exactly.
And if you're a guy like Justin Verlander, who's having a resurgence to his career after missing so much time, do you want to switch catchers? I don't.
Probably not.
And they've got a number of guys on this team that are pitching really well that may not want to switch catchers to a guy that, Vasquez is a pro. He's,
his framing isn't
favorite.
Great, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I would. So, does he's not going to play as much as he did in Boston? That's for sure.
That's a great call out. I agree with you 100%.
I think it's a minor downgrade, at least.
I think that's completely fair, and it could be. I mean, it's still probably not enough to take him out of one catcher eligibility, though. He's hitting 282 with 8 homers, 111 WRC plus. So I think Christian Vasquez is still one catcher viable in 12s and probably 10s, but maybe in 10s it's a little bit more on the cusp if he is playing only 4 times a week instead of 6, which is or 6 out of 7, which is probably more what it was like in Boston. Seattle, that's obviously a little bit of an older deal, but of course, Luis Castillo, I don't think you and I, because I was sick, so that's why we're catching up on everything. This couldn't be a better park move. Remember how negative we were about Winker? Flip everything we said in the off season about Winker to the positive here, baby, because what's the one thing that gets Castillo in trouble? Well, outside of the walks, homers.
4 more home runs. But even more important than that, the defense. The defensive upgrade is huge.
Sucks.
And you get to move to a division.
I was thinking Cincy sucks, by the way. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the division you're moving to has Oakland, the Angels, and Texas. These are big. 3 awful teams.
That's big.
Which are arguably collectively worse than the 3 worst teams in the NL Central. So, especially because he didn't get to pitch against his own team in Cincinnati.
Yeah. You still have to dodge Houston, of course, but Luis Castillo can handle any team. But we're just talking about the fact that he might get an easier schedule from here forward.
Fantastic park factors, fantastic division, better defense up the middle, especially. You gotta love this for Luis Castillo.
Yeah,
I don't know, outside of being traded in division to St. Louis, which was never going to happen. I don't know if there's a better move.
Completely agree. I have nothing else to add to that. That's perfect on Luis Castillo. Texas, nothing notable there. They made some ancillary moves, nothing with fantasy ramifications. Let me ask you this, though, because we haven't talked since this. Brett Martin, that experiment has gone to hell and blown up. Who do you like as closer there? We've currently got Matt Moore, who, by the way, when it was listed that he wasn't traded, you know how they list the guys, he's going to stay here. When they included him, I was like, why are they including Matt Moore? It's
he's been really good.
He's been amazing. His walks are still high at 12%, but his strikeouts are back up. He's up 2 points on the velo, 166 ERA, 117 whip. So he's been nice. Jonathan Hernandez is back, by the way, a guy I really liked. I thought he was going to take the closer role. What was it? 2 years ago before he got hurt.
Yeah.
And then he got, 2020. And then he got hurt for 2021, lost all of it. Back now. He could maybe get the job. And then there's Brock Burke, who's had an amazing season himself, another lefty there, 28% strikeout rate, 6% walk rate, 117 ERA as well. He and Matt Moore, I think, have matching ERAs, but he has a .97 whip. So Brock Burke's been great. So who do you like as the Texas closer right now?
I mean, if I had to take one, I think I lean Moore, but I think this is probably a committee of some sort. Moving forward,
because
Hernandez,
2 lefties and a righty, so they can play matchups.
Yeah, I think Hernandez is the guy that in keeper leagues or dynasty leagues that I'm taking a shot on, just because I think the upside is so high and he has looked really good since coming back. So
yeah,
but it's very few innings. He's coming back from injury. I don't know that they want to just hand him the keys to the kingdom.
That's a good point too, by the way, because that is a lot, right? And he is coming back. and you want to kind of get comfortable and you don't know, everything doesn't have to be the highest leverage of like saving the few games that they actually win. So as much as I do like him, I was going to say, no, I'm still going to fully back Hernandez. I think you made a great point about with him coming back from TJ, downshift a little bit and not necessarily put him in the high leverage every other night type of deal.
Yeah.
So
I think he's going
to
mix in, but I think all those guys, and do remember Matt Bush got traded to Milwaukee. So
that's right. Matt Bush,
he gone.
Does clear a little bit more time there. So 15 team, would you pick up more in Hernandez? If you're speccing hard,
yeah, I think if I'm speccing, yeah, if because I mean
Burke or no,
probably
Burke got to be a bit deeper. Yeah, like he's been good, and if a middle reliever is okay, like if that's viable in your league, he's a good one to have. But for the saves, I think he's going to be left out. I think it's going to be more for the lefty stuff and Hernandez for the righty stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So we did find something for Texas there. Speaking of who closes, man, this is devastating. With Raisel Iglesias getting moved out of LA because he's going to get like 2 saves. This is Craig Kimbrell last year, 100%. This is exactly what this is when he went to the White Sox. Iglesias is out as a closer. We'll get to him.
Is he?
100%.
Like, I mean, I think at least initially,
100%.
but Kenley hasn't been like elite or
unless
anything.
Kenley blows it, but I mean, it has to be a Kenley fall off.
Yeah, I do.
I'm saying
I think
it's 100% Kenley right now, but if he gives it to Iglesias, they have a great guy to turn to.
We'll talk. We're talking later.
Yeah, we'll get to that
in a second.
So,
but
I know it's a shit show, but we have to turn over every rock for saves. Who's going to be closing here in LA for the scant games that they're going to win the rest of the way?
MVP vote getter Ryan Tepera, baby.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
I think that's got it. I mean, I guess Jesse Chavez could factor in, but I think Tepera is the guy who gets the first.
I'm not rolling my
first
eyes
opportunities.
I'm rolling my eyes at like Jesse Chavez probably will mix in, but you're right to bring it up. I wasn't like shading you. I wanted to be clear.
But there's nobody on this team.
It's bad, dude.
That should be closing. Like
I got a name for you.
Yeah,
Troy Percival. Picking him up in 12 teamers.
I wasn't sure.
I was gonna go Percival or K-Rod. I went with Percival because it's a further throwback.
Yeah, that's and I mean he kind of exclusively. I don't remember him being on any other teams other than
he bounced around a little bit at the end, but
did he?
He made his bread in LA. But yeah, it's Tepera, Chavez. Like Loop might steal one if it's a lefty. It's a bad situation. But okay, let's say you're desperate. You lost Iglesias.
I think it's Tepera.
Do you go for Tepera? Okay,
yeah, it's Tepera. Yeah.
I agree. This also brings them down to a 5-man rotation now. Do you think they add somebody to keep Ohtani on
yeah,
6?
they traded for Tucker Davidson. I would expect.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Tucker Davidson. Okay, so let's talk Tucker Davidson.
Yeah.
Do you have any love for him?
Not really. I mean, he's an interesting guy. He needs a third pitch. Until he gets that third pitch, I just think that this is going to be too volatile of an experiment. Maybe he can survive first time through the league, rest of the way type thing. So maybe 15-team mix. You're streaming him against, the aforementioned other bottom feeder teams. Yeah. So like if he's got, an Oakland, Texas 2-step coming up, yeah, sure. Why not? But he's 6-man rotation. You're not going to get many 2-steps.
Oh, yeah. So, you're going to have to get lucky 7 games when he starts Monday. That's Tucker Davidson going over there from Atlanta. What about Jansen Junk? We haven't talked about him again because we took last week off due to me being sick. He was a popular pickup this weekend.
I got him for $1 in the main event.
Nicely done. He's got 6 innings so far. That's all we're going off of, but it was a bunch of strikeouts. He did all right in AAA, not with that same sort of swing and miss. So I think those strikeouts were a mirage. But what do you think of Jansen Junk? You picked him up, so you obviously have some love for him. Can he be a 15-team viable guy rest of season?
I love the fact that he's facing the A's this week.
That was the main driver. Okay, yeah, that's fair. And for a buck, why not?
Yeah,
you don't have to think any deeper than that.
It was in Oakland, maybe he gets a bunch of strikeouts and
he could get them twice in a row, by the way.
Yeah.
He gets them at home tomorrow and then it'll be Thursday and then next week in Oakland. So you could have double Junk versus Oakland.
Yeah, my strategy for the month of August in some of my leagues is I'm only spending $1 on every pickup until I get to September and hopefully have enough
money.
So
you have
so I can have $50 to $75 left by September. And Junk was the guy that ended up on my roster. So yeah,
it is fitting to get him for $1, right? With that
yeah,
last name,
it's
of
just
course. I know there's so many puns
so.
and all that, but like it's great that you literally got Jansen Junk for $1. Okay, so we're gonna talk about your boy when we get to Philly, of course. So keep your pants on. We'll get to now. He gets to fulfill the full Jason Worth dream, by the way. But we'll talk about Brandon Marsh later. But Mickey Moniak could be the direct replacement. He gets traded in a separate deal, the Thor deal. Any love for Moniak, former 1-1, obviously not carrying the hype of a standard 1-1. This is more in the like Tim Beckham realm. But any potential juice there if they just turn him loose in center?
No. Even if
Fair.
if he reaches his 80th percentile upside, he's Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah.
That's
which is not terrible. That might be closer to his 90th percentile.
Yeah, and not like career high Andrew Benintendi. We're talking
the one that was
the one that was just in Kansas City. So
wait, not that one. The one last year, maybe. No. This year he bounced back this year. No slander.
He has 4 home runs or 5 home runs.
That part's fair.
Yeah.
Continue on.
So in 3 stolen bases. It's such a blah profile. Yeah, man. Okay, sorry. So potentially,
I mean, I'm just going off his LBP. He's back up to 387. But to your point, 386 slug with the 387
it's empty batting average. That's all it is.
That's fair.
Yeah,
so you think that's the best Moniak could become?
Yeah,
and he strikes out way too much.
AL only. Yeah, of course you're gonna you'll throw some bucks on him as a backup. Do you prefer
him or Magneuris Sierra, who is also there and already on the roster? He's a speedster type, but he is the perfect fourth outfielder. But do you think Sierra has any appeal if he gets the job?
Sierra at least has speed, right?
Yeah. But
I don't think he gets the job.
He's such a can't steal first guy. He just can't get on base.
No. I just think there's so many better options. I'd rather have David Peralta. I just, how dare you? Or Vavra. That's
Vavra for sure. For sure. I think that's fair. Do you know anything about this guy named Dylan Thomas, who's also on the roster right now?
Dylan Thomas was a poet in the 1950s.
I hate you.
Okay,
no. So much.
No, other than that, I don't know.
This one isn't fantasy relevant yet, but we saw this guy in the at the fall league rather, and he now becomes their number 1 prospect. That speaks more to their system, but he is the 50th guy in baseball right now, and that's Logan O'Hop, catching prospect that they got in that Brandon Marsh deal. What's your excitement level for him? And like I said, we're talking next year and beyond, really, because he's at AA right now, but having a wonderful season. Logan O'Hop, how do you feel?
Yeah, so this is isn't the AA park the one that the Phillies where everybody hits? Yeah, that's where
Darren Ruff. But hey,
yeah, remember you hit a million home runs? Yeah, exactly. Or Scott Kingery.
Okay. Well, I was saying Ruff almost as a positive because remember he hit all those homers and we were like, oh, well, that guy. Not that he lived up to that hype, but he did come up and he was a pretty good power hitter in the majors, right? But no, I think the Kingery one.
Yeah, it's a launching pad. I'm not over he profiles as maybe an above average major league catcher with decent raw power, but probably not great game power necessarily. But he's a good enough behind the plate catcher to stick. I don't think I'm honestly really surprised this deal was made. I don't on a team
till we get to Philly.
But on a team
so bad.
I want to talk about him so bad. On a team like the Angels that are so depleted offensively, why are you trading Brandon Marsh away? I just don't get it. He's a fantastic defender.
Any sense. They don't make any sense. And I like O'Hop. I really do. But what?
Yeah,
what, dude?
No, I don't understand this. I'm sorry. Yes, his swing and miss is a problem, but he is at worst a league average MLB player because he's an elite defender with power and speed. Like,
yeah, I mean, I again, we'll get to it. We'll get to it with Philly, but Hop right now is dynasty type stuff, and I don't love rookie catchers anyway. But just know the name because I think he'll be up next year and has a chance to be, a C2 viable type guy. Let's get to Oakland because they made the big Frankie Montas move. They are no strangers to dealing with Cashman, and they end up getting a load of pitchers here, two of whom could be pitching in the majors this year. I don't think Medina will make it, so we'll put Luis Medina to the side. You can give some dynasty thoughts on him if you have them. But let's focus on JP Sears and Ken Waldechuck. Sears has already been in the majors. He's been brilliant for the 22 innings that he pitched with the Yankees already this year. His swing and miss wasn't there, but make no mistake, he has a swing and miss slider that has gotten him whiffs all throughout the minors. This feels more like an anomaly for 22 innings, and he's just grinding out outs as opposed to his inability to miss bats. So I still have some confidence in Sears there. He could slot right into the rotation. In fact, I don't know why he wouldn't. They don't need a fifth starter for a little while, so that might be one reason. And then Ken Waldechuck, who is having a breakout year across double and triple A. He's been at triple A for 47 2/3. He's continued to do very well. He could even be up later this year as well at some point too. Let's start with Sears. Do you think he'll be up in the near term, and do you like him as a potential starter pickup?
Yeah, I think he will be up in the near term, and I do like him as a starting pitcher prospect. Like, is he going to be necessarily a star? Probably not, but like he's going to be pitching in that division, in that park.
Yeah.
And what did he do in the minor leagues? He didn't walk guys. He didn't give up home runs, and he struck people out. Like, what else do you want?
Those are all the best things.
Yeah. So, I'll take the gamble on a guy like that who's going to be pitching in one of the best pitching parks in all of baseball and get to go up against, two other bottom feeder offenses in that division. Yeah.
JP Sears is one of my big underrated game changers for this deadline. I really could see him. We know what Oakland does with guys like this who are just like solid across the board talents, just a bunch of 50s and 55s all over their scouting report. In that ballpark, a lot of magic happens, right? We love the Oakland pitcher class as a fantasy, position to attack for tons of goodness from guys who are a lot less talented than JP Sears. I really think he can be a game changer in these final 2 months. Definitely going to spec on him and see what happens because there is upside there. What about Ken Waldechuck? He is a higher ceiling type guy. He becomes their number one prospect now. He's 35th overall in the minors on our current top 100. I mentioned double AAA dominance this year. Is he somebody you think Oakland brings up at some point this year to have his major league debut, Ken Waldechuck?
Yeah, I think he could get up maybe in September. Give him a kind of a chance to see the majors and compete for a rotation spot coming in next year. So I don't know that he's fantasy viable necessarily this year. He's going to be the opposite of the next guy we're going to talk about because the next guy we're going to talk about is all flash and no floor.
Medina?
Yeah, Waldechuck.
Bring Medina in here because he's the youngest of this guy of this group, and very little chance that he comes up this year because his command is still a mess.
Yeah, so Waldechuck, he does a really, really good job, or has done a good job for the most part, except for one stop. His first shot at Double A in 2021, keeping the ball in the yard. So, but he doesn't have overpowering stuff. Like, I don't think he's ever going to turn into a top of the rotation type of guy. I think he's like a 3-4 type starter, which is fine, and but I also think his floor is like a fifth starter. So I think he's gonna be a starter long term in the majors. It's a great ballpark again to pitch in. Yeah,
I really see similarities for both. Like Sears a bit lower on everything you said there.
Yeah,
but pretty similar.
Right. Whereas Medina, he has the potential to be an ace if he ever figures out the control. The problem is because you watch him pitch, and this is the guy that he's been a prospect, legitimately a prospect since he was 16, 17 years old.
Yeah. 7 years in the baseball consciousness, right?
Yeah. And been on some of my dynasty teams for that long. There are times in which you watch him pitch and you go, this is the best pitcher in the organization that he's in. And the Yankees was a great organization. And then there were times where you're like, oh, he might have something wrong with his eyesight because he wasn't even close to the plate there. And that he just has a really hard time harnessing his stuff. And so I think, his upside, like I said, if he figures out the command and control, he's an ace. If he does not, he is probably bullpen.
A badass reliever, yeah.
Potentially. I think he's Dinelson Lamet, honestly. Like, I think he is like that kind of volatility where he could come in and light the world on fire, and then the next year be, in AAA type thing.
That's a great way to frame it. Great way to frame it. Luis Medina on that Dinelson Lamet kind of volatility with the great breaking ball, fastball, command for crap, change up non-existent at times. Upside looks brilliant and could be relieving as well. So there's a wide range there, but I thought they did well. I thought, it was supposed to be lighter than Castillo, particularly with the injury, right? That to me was like, okay, that has to discount the price. I totally get that. I thought they did well here. Like I said, these two teams have linked up before. They've got a good working relationship. I know Billy Beane is not the GM. I believe it's David Force, but Beane is still there. He and Cash, they're homies. So they know how to get deals done. Those front offices know how to work with each other. Sears, Waldechuck.
They didn't get caught holding the bag on Montas. The worst thing that could happen was Montas ended up like blowing out his elbow and the A's got nothing for him. So should they have traded him prior to the start of the season? Absolutely. But
depends what was available. It depends what was available, man. We don't really know.
In spite of not doing that, they still made out okay.
Yeah, exactly. I really think that they still took a nice deal here, and they have some potential arms for their next run, which will be in a couple years. Because they always do these like 3-4 year downturns. This is year one. All right, let's go out to the National League. Mets, Darren Ruff, moving the needle for you on anything there?
No.
Yeah, he's going to continue to be sporadic playing time.
I don't understand why the Mets did what they.
I have no idea why that deal happened.
Why they
didn't do stuff as well.
The return for Darren, as a Giants fan, it's like bittersweet because I love Darren Ruff. Ruff is. Plus, every time he hits a game-winning home run, I get to quote the Celebrity Jeopardy of Sean Connery going rough just the way your mother likes it. But the return is great because they got a younger version of Darren Ruff in JD Davis, plus 3 prospects, including a former first rounder.
What is that deal then? I don't understand it. Why
they just wanted to get rid of JD Davis? No idea.
And all those guys for a 36-year-old?
I don't get it at all. I
don't either. It's very bizarre. What one move should they have done? What's one move they would have done that would have totally changed your outlook on the Mets deadline? Contreras?
I think Contreras is probably the move. Yeah. I would have liked to see them go get maybe another bullpen arm.
I thought a Mitch White type, a guy who's very comfortable.
Or David Robertson,
Well, I thought more swingman than a true reliever, but I think that could have, because they've got their 5 right now: Max, DeGrom, Bassett, Carrasco, Walker. But that is a shaky.
And they sent out David Peterson.
They sent out David Peterson, and I know Miguel's coming back, so they actually do have some reinforcements. But that's why I thought swingman was perfect. Somebody who can be in either role there, as opposed to just a reliever or just a true starter who's not going to want to be in the bullpen type. So, but they're fine. I mean, even though they didn't make moves, I don't think that they're catastrophically hurt here, even though I like what these next.
Here's the thing. Somebody else made the comment, about the Juan Soto trade, is you don't want to end up not winning the NL East because you're probably going to have to face San Diego in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great
point. The Braves made moves. The Phillies made a few moves, but I don't think enough to move the needle for them.
Yeah, no, they had a great deadline, but they're too far back right now to really do a lot with it. I think
the Mets have unlimited payroll, and they didn't make the moves necessary to overtake the Braves.
Judging them a bit more harshly.
Yeah,
I think that's especially as all in.
Even though I picked them to win the World Series during Potapalooza, I think they're gonna win the World Series, but they should have made more moves.
But you're right, because You know what are they holding back for? And they had a pretty obvious need and fit. Like the Contreras deal, it's there. And you talk about linking up. They just did deals with them last year.
And it's a short-term deal. Like they don't have to worry about like holding on to him for a really long time. I know they're financially committed to James McCann, but like he just makes so much sense for that roster.
What could the ask have really been there? I don't think it would have cost Alvarez, Beatty, or Ronnie Moe. Right?
I don't think it.
I don't think
maybe the ask was that. Maybe that's the Cubs. Maybe the Cubs are like we've burned our fan base so much over the last year in trading the other guys that they traded at the deadline last year, that they were like, hey, in order for us to make a move to trade Hap or Contreras, we need one of these top guys. Otherwise, we'll just hold him. And every team went, yeah, we're not doing that for a rental.
Well, because there were avenues to get what you needed elsewhere, especially with Hap. And they can take another bite with Hap in the offseason or next deadline. So they got opportunities there. But with Contreras, he's a rental, so he'd be a free agent. Would you have done it for Alvarez, Beatty, or Mauricio? For Contreras straight up?
Yes, because flags fly forever.
Which one?
Probably not.
Yes, like, would you have stopped short of Alvarez?
Yeah, I think I'd stop short of Alvarez. I would have done a Beatty deal. I like Beatty a lot too.
I love Beatty. If I could, I don't know any talks where this is all spec that we're doing right now. But if Beatty for Contreras would have been possible, I would have wanted to do that big time.
Or Mauricio. The guy. I mean, I love Mauricio too.
I think Ronnie Moe would have worked as well. But maybe they weren't even there. Maybe it was something completely different. I don't know. But it was surprising that they didn't really do something big, not just to like get the attention and do the splash, which Cohen loves, but because they do have some needs that could have been filled.
So, well, and Mauricio's, like he's not going to be short. He's not going to be the shortstop, right? He's going to have to switch positions anyways. So why not just trade him for? Yeah,
I think honestly, they probably should have tried to get both Hap and Contreras. Like that would have been a really good fit for them. It would have cramped the fantasy values of somebody like a Canha because he wouldn't be playing as much. He'd be bouncing around a bit. Vogelbach would be tanked as well. But who cares? They're trying to win. They're not worried about people's fantasy values at all. All right, let's go to Atlanta, who, like you said, did make moves. They made 3 solid moves, including getting Raisel Iglesias and taking him out of the closer role. One of the best closers in the league, was drafted as one of the very best, like top
the 3. Third off the board,
and has 16 saves. Oh, this gives me a chance to beat you now.
It does. And what's the crazy part about this? So my main event team that's been doing, I've got the one that with you in the league with you that's been doing fine, right? Hurting recently, but otherwise, like I still think I can win that league.
Both grinding.
My other main event league has just been an absolute disaster. I took Giolito in the first round, got Ozzy Albies, I think, in the second round. Ozzy Albies in the first round, Giolito in the second round, something like that. One of the two. Yeah. Third round was Raisel Iglesias. Fourth round was Trevor Rogers. Complete disaster that team is. I'm still going to try to grind it out, but it's just been absolutely a nightmare of a team. And this is just the icing on the cake because it wasn't a bad pick. Like he hasn't been great, but like he's been fine. Giving me what you need, which is safe.
He hasn't been like the top, but it's not like you're mad about Iglesias. Like this is well within range of outcomes.
And now the Angels like seemingly traded probably what we thought was the safest closer in the game, in some regards, because Hader's always been on the block, and would you be surprised if Hendricks turned back into a pumpkin? I guess not. Especially with Kimbrel was still there until late in this draft season. This is unreal. Screw you, Angels. Like
this is big,
and they traded him for nothing. Like it was just a salary. They got Tucker Davidson and Jesse Chavez.
Chavez,
like unreal. Like it's just a salary dump. Now I will say this:
they have him for 3 more years, by the way.
Yeah,
if so this goes next year.
Yeah, well, how long's Kenley signed for?
I thought he was 1 year. Maybe he is Maltese. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt your point.
I think Kenley.
I'll check Jansen.
If this allows them,
he was 1 year.
He's 1 year. Okay, so Iglesias becomes the closer next year, right? Definitely. So, like, if you're in a dynasty league, maybe you like take a shot and go, "Hey, you need saves. I'll give you my, whoever."
If you're rebuilding,
your,
I like
your Iglesias, and try to pick him up on the cheap now that he's probably not the closer. Who knows? Like, Atlanta's going to do whatever they think is best. But
how long would you hold him right now? How long are you going to hold him?
I think you've got to hold him for at least a couple weeks. I'm not going to just drop, because why? Like, don't get me wrong. Like, yes, Kenley has been a closer his entire career. Iglesias is not. So
he's 35 with a heart issue that takes him out for regular bouts.
And how bad has he been down the stretch the last few years? Like, he's tired out. Like,
stays great for him.
This feels like an insurance policy.
It absolutely
just as much as it is bolstering that bullpen. So
because they know how they won last year. That bullpen became the night shift. Everything was god tier for them, and they have no problem trying to win that way again. Not like their starting pitching is bad either. It's a combination, but they don't want it weakened if something happens to Jansen. And October's been a little bit of a problem spot at sometimes, and of course the heart lingers, and sometimes it's just maintenance, right? He just needs 2 weeks off because the murmur's back, and it's planned. But then that would be 5 saves for Iglesias type deal. Yeah. So I agree with not cutting him, but it does hit him hard.
From the Angels' perspective, if this allows them to sign Shohei Ohtani to a long-term deal, if they're clearing money in order to sign Ohtani to a long-term deal before he hits free agency, then I get it. If it's not, screw you guys. I hate you.
No, I feel that. 3 years at 16 per for the next 3 for Raisel Iglesias. They also got Robbie Grossman from my Tigers, and he's obviously going to be, platooning in the outfield a bit. He was not living up to the hype from his season last year. Remember when he stole 20 bases and hit 23 homers? He has 2 homers, 3 steals, and a 205 average. Is Robbie Grossman a cut in all formats, but NL only?
I mean, he should have been cut already.
What's his roster rate in main event, you think?
I bet you it's like 35%.
Let me check. And while I am checking that, let's talk about Jake Odorizzi. I thought this was a really savvy move between 2 competitors, by the way.
Yeah.
With
Odorizzi, both teams.
That was a great fit. They needed another starter. Strider's innings are going to start to come up for sure. And then Houston has no lefty relievers, so they needed somebody, and that was a perfect fit. So, what do you think about this here for Odorizzi as it relates to Strider? Do you think he's going to start the downshift here soon, and Odorizzi could be a viable fantasy starter, or does Odorizzi become waiver wire fodder again now as it's a 6-man? Or they have 6. They're not going to a 6-man. They have 6 now with Odorizzi.
I think he's going to be kind of a team streamer. It's a really it's a really bad division move. Like the park it's a little bit of a downgrade, but like it's not like a huge downgrade necessarily, but moving away from Houston, where the only really, really good offense in that division was the team he was pitching for, so he doesn't have to face them, to a division with the Mets, with the Phillies. I think that hurts Odorizzi a little bit.
Sure.
But I think other than that, like there are still bottom feeder teams. Like you're not afraid of the Marlins.
Yeah. Solid team streamer. I agree. So I wouldn't cut him yet. Let's see what happens. They might pull the plug on Strider as a starter for like a month right now. They might purposely say he's going to go back in the bullpen, pitch 2 to 3 innings a pop, and then dial back up in September so that he can do multi-innings in October. I don't know, but if you've been holding Odorizzi because he's been doing all right this year, I think you still hold. I don't think you cut here just because it's now a 6-man situation. I found out that Robbie Grossman is on 85% of main events.
You see, that is just a huge mistake.
How does that hit your ear?
I dropped Robbie Grossman back in May in our main event.
Yeah, I mean, and you made 1,000% the right move. He's been dreadful.
He's been
dreadful.
Yeah.
So you think that should be closer to 35%? You said.
Yeah, I bet he will. I bet it will be after this week because at best he's a platoon bat. And
gotta be.
He's probably just a bench bat at this point. It's going to just be a battle between him and Eddie Rosario, trying to figure out if either of them can see the ball.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. All right, let's go to Philly. It's your moment in the sun.
Let's go, baby.
B. Marsh. this was a great pickup. His bat has had the swing and miss issue for sure, but he's an amazing defender, and that's what they need is somebody that can actually play some damn defense. Very important position of center field. What do you think about your boy B Marsh going from LA to Philly? And Philly, nice park to hit in too. Maybe that jumpstart him a little bit as well for Marsh.
This is the the National League version of the Twins. This is not a deadline teams or people are going to put an A on, but this is an A deadline. They got exactly what they needed. They got a center fielder who isn't a zero at the plate. They got a starting pitcher who has looked a little bit better as of late, and a guy who knows that division really well. And then they got a closer. Like they've and they didn't give up a ton. Like, for Dombrowski, like for him not to like give up everything they have in the farm, not that they've got a ton necessarily.
Yeah, he did still have to give a top 50 overall prospect. He was still like, I gotta give somebody who's badass.
Yeah, but like,
I liked it though. I did.
Totally fine. Like, I think this is a really, really good deadline for them.
I agree.
Marsh is under team control until 2020, I think through 2026, maybe even 2027. This is like a potential stud that you got for nothing. Like, I mean, yes.
Hop, stop saying
it is a nothing. It is absolutely
that's a stupid take. Seriously, don't embarrass yourself.
It's at best a league average catcher when you've got the best catcher in the game on your roster already. Like, who cares? Like,
they have Max Stassi on their team.
No, I'm talking Philadelphia's got the best catcher on their team, so they could get rid of Hop.
But that doesn't devalue Hop.
They don't care about him.
I mean, they still care about catchers break down. And Real Muto's 31. Get real. You're being ridiculous. They didn't get him for free, and he has an 80 WRC plus.
Free. He's
80
free.
WRC plus.
He's got an 80 grade beard.
80 WRC plus and like a 49% strikeout rate. This dude is garbage.
You're garbage. This is a great move. This is fantastic. It is
a great move, but it's not. It wasn't free.
Screw Juan Soto. This is the best move of the deadline.
It is not the best move of the deadline, but it is a good move. It really does improve them. Where are you picking up, Marsh? Are you getting him back in
everywhere? 2-team leagues.
Oh wait, he's 98%. Never mind. I thought he might have more availability because he's been bad, but he runs. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. He runs. For real, are you getting him in 12-teamers? Is there enough? He's batting 9.
Probably not.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'd keep an eye though. Yeah. Because if playing every day, if Brandon Marsh does get going, then a power speed guy like this does become instantly 10 and 12 team viable.
Yeah.
So okay. And then David Robertson becomes their closer. This was another one where a guy's closing on a team. This is why you can't always just assume that you're not gonna get the saves when these guys get traded. Yes, you should plan for it, right? Always be smart and say, hey, I'm going to draft this bad team closer. I'm probably only going to get half a season, and then if not, cool. But Lopez still closing on a much better team. Now D-Rob going to be closing on a much better team. Now they haven't said for sure, but I think he goes right in for Sir Anthony, and Sir Anthony goes back to fireman.
Yeah, I think so too. I think
like 100%.
I think you'll know pretty quickly too. I think you'll know by this weekend what's going on there. So you'll be able to hopefully by this weekend make a decision on Fab whether you're dropping that main event team. My second closer is Sir Anthony Dominguez.
Oh my god, that's brutal, dude. They also got Thor. So again, they executed a brilliant deadline. Thor hasn't had his strikeout stuff this year, but he does still have an 11% swinging strike rate. So it's still in this. In the cards there that he could get back to striking out about a quarter of his batters. Obviously he's not available anywhere, but do you think this could be an upgrade for Thor, even though he's going to Philly, which can be a little bit of a tough park, but he's pitched there a billion times as a Met.
Quietly over a strikeout an inning during the month of July.
Let's go.
He started to look a little bit better. He's starting to get a little bit more sharpness on his breaking stuff. I don't know if he's turning back into, I'm going to check his velos.
Not peak Thor. I'm still thinking like 1920 Thor when he struck out 25%. Not the 30% monster.
Velo's still 94. He's definitely not the guy he was. But he's been a little bit better and he knows that division. So I'm not like running to the wire to pick up Thor in shallower formats or anything like that if he's available.
You think he's available?
He's probably not.
No. He can't.
Like He hasn't
been
been
good.
bad.
No, his strikeouts are low, but ratio and it's barren wasteland in leagues. Like I don't even think he's going to be that available.
Well, and his name value alone
exactly
makes him probably rostered.
Never mind, man. He's 70% of the ESPN. 30% is insane availability.
That being said, insane. Like I don't know that I want it. Well, I mean, a 3.8 ERA is not as good as it used to be.
I feel like I disagree. The waiver wire has been so barren this year.
That's because you play in 15-team leagues.
No, it's been barren in the 12-teamers too. It's been, dude. It's been hard out there. But I grant with the lower strikeouts. I think he's like an 85% guy at least. But he's in 70%. So there are some ESPN leagues where he's available. I would go get him. I think Thor can be a nice pitcher here for these final 2 months. I thought maybe the whip was a little bit lower too. 121 is not bad, but it's not like
it's not great.
Either. Yeah, no. So that's fair. Miami did pick up Jordan Groshans. We alluded to him when we were talking about the relievers that Toronto got. His star has dimmed greatly, as we highlighted there. I still like the move for them. Like, hey, take a shot, sure. You know,
I think he could turn into like a MLB regular. Like, I think he could be fine. Like, I don't think he's ever going to be the star that people thought he was when they were drafting him in like first-year player drafts and dynasty and stuff like that. But I think he'd be fine, everyday player. I'm just surprised that there weren't any more moves. Like, they just didn't trade away. Yeah, they didn't trade away anything. Like,
I don't think the
Aguilar
still there. Yeah, like who needs Aguilar though? Like you mentioned that it was a seller's market, but I think in some instances it was a buyer's market though too. I know that's conflicting, but like,
I think once the big options left, other teams would just went. Is guys like Aguilar or Nelson Cruz even an upgrade? Like to what we have? Like it's just
and because prices were high, so I think it was actually more of like I don't think we're going to go in and try to pay top dollar for it. Now, obviously, they could have made a big splash with like Lopez, but they have so many years of control of him that there's no reason to try to like force that either if it didn't come together the way they wanted. So I'm not going to crush Miami for not making moves here. I really don't think that there were moves they had to make. Aguilar's really kind of the only one. And like, again,
there was no there was no logical fit. Exactly. So that makes sense. Yeah.
All right, let's get to Washington. Obviously, they've done a lot, but not much of it is super fantasy relevant. Look, I do feel bad for Luke Voit, primarily, almost exclusively, because we will no longer see him in the City Connect jersey. But this is an amazing park move. Washington is one of the very best parks to hit in the league. So that's a big boon for him. Do you think he goes out there and just crushes, or do you think he's too pissed off about getting traded to Washington and he like just craps his way through the rest of the season?
I hope he goes out there and crushes. Like I really do. I love Luke Voit, and I mean he's finally on a team in which he's not going to have to worry about losing playing time to somebody else. Exactly. He's just going to get to play. It's a huge bummer because he won't get to get that. Well, maybe the Padres will give him a World Series ring when they win one this year.
They would. I think they would. They would absolutely give.
I think it works. So it probably works out.
But he'd like to be in the World Series. You know,
you'd also like to be living in San Diego, not the hellhole that is Washington D.C. in the summer. As Ghost Runner in the chat is saying, he's a Northern Virginia resident. Nobody hates D.C. like D.C. residents. Absolutely,
that's hilarious. By the way, Voit was kind of getting going a bit too, hitting some homers and looking like he's coming out of it. So that could be nice. And like I said, if he carries it over and isn't like, just pissed at the world about getting sent to Washington, there could be a nice run for him. So there's some availability too. Go check. If you need a power infusion, Luke Voit could kind of get back to what we've seen at different spells throughout his career. He's always been a really good power hitter. And I think when healthy, he still is. So I'm a big fan. Mackenzie Gore. Now, when the deal first came out, it was the three big prospects with Abrams, Wood, and Robert Hassel III. And everyone's like, oh, that's light and all that. It wasn't done yet. Gore comes in. That's another big piece. But I do mention that park is difficult. So what do you think about Mackenzie Gore out in Washington? Any concerns about pitching in that park? Or are you excited that he's, he should be turned loose now?
I'm more concerned about his elbow. I'm more concerned about that elbow. And I mean, I assumed that the Nationals did their due diligence in that, but
for their sake.
that my bigger concern, is the elbow. I'm not super worried about necessarily the park. I mean, Gore's just he's got such talent. The question is, will he be able to harness it? It's nice to see him get to a spot where he'll be actually turned loose, like you said. So, I mean, the haul was fine. Like,
I thought so too.
Like, I don't think, like, I know some people are really upset. You weren't gonna get the moon. Like, the Padres just traded five of their.
They got the moon, but I think people were expecting a bigger moon. But you can't get like the actual value of him. It's just unrealistic. We just don't see that. So, in the scope of the real world and what these trades generally net, I thought they did a great job. I really did.
They got 5 of their top 6 prospects in the Padres system. Like, I mean, what more do you want? Like, I mean, they got Hassel, they got Abrams, they got Gore. They got James Wood, who a lot of people are really high on. Like, they got another guy that I'm blanking on his name right now. Like,
Susana.
Yeah,
he got some good raves as well. Susana.
I think they did fine.
Like you're never gonna match what the proper value for a Hall of Famer. That's just
no.
But at the same time,
23-year-old Ted Williams, you're never going to find
But at the same time, it is still just one player, and like they got a lot of talent that could really help their next good team.
I'm just surprised because I mean, one of the things that they said that they wanted to do is trade Patrick Corbin's contract with Soto.
Yeah, I thought they were going to use that to defray kind of the prospect haul.
And so, like, they were not able to move Corbin's contract. So how much flexibility does this give now the team in the future to sign free agents while they're still eating the money on Corbin and Strasburg? And I think still paying Max Scherzer. So, yeah, I mean,
if they'd gotten Eric Hosmer, it would have pushed the deal over the edge in favor of the Nats. I disagree. I hope that's a joke.
Funny. It is. It's J Hook. It's obviously a joke.
Definitely goofing.
So, yeah, it's funny.
All right. So, Yadiel Hernandez, I put him on here because obviously he can go in for Soto. He's had some intrigue at different times with the Nats, but now
hit a bomb tonight, baby.
He's saying, listen, I'm here. On who? 15 team viable. He's been a league average bat. He should have free and clear playing time now. Any interest?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's going to be a star or win your league, but I mean, he gives you a decent batting average, a little bit of pop, a little bit of speed. I think he's fine. Like, I think 15 team leagues, especially, he becomes, he's probably rostered in most 15 teamers, but maybe some deeper 12s. I think he's a fine pickup.
He's still rostered. No, he's 34%. You're all over. You're terrible on your roster rates tonight.
Apparently,
you're usually nails on those. Yadiel Hernandez. He's at the Robbie Grossman level because I think he fell off. And he became kind of like, man. I don't think he plays every single day. I think
he's going to now.
I was gonna say. Actually, he does play quite a bit. So never mind on that part. But now it's free and clear, middle of the order. He is locked and loaded.
Mm-hmm. He's in third tonight.
And you said he went yard?
Yeah, they went back to back. Luis Garcia, Yadiel in the 6th.
Nice.
As soon as they pulled DeGrom, they went back to back again.
Finally that guy's out. They did send down CJ Abrams, but he could eventually be back. If he comes back, where are you picking him up, if anywhere?
Probably 15s and maybe some 12s. There are a lot of people are kind of cooling their jets on Abrams. I think it's a little bit too early to start doing that.
Of course it is. It's been 139 plate appearances.
And he's super young. You remember he initially skipped AAA. He went back. He crushed AAA. He'll probably go crush AAA again. Abrams is going to be fine.
Yeah, and if he's not, it's going to take me a lot longer to make that assessment. Anything you want to say about Wood or Hassel III as far as dynasty and your interest in them?
Don't overrate Hassel's fantasy value. Yes, he's a very good prospect, but again, another one of these kind of like sum of all the parts kind of guys, and not necessarily like a carrying tool for fantasy. Wood has some really interesting upside. I like him a lot. Long term in dynasty. So, I mean, these are both like all these guys are premium prospects. I think they were all top 69 prospects in baseball. Here actually top
66, but
I like 66, but I wanted to make it 69.
I respect you, man. I respect that grind. And to that point, by the way, that it gave Washington their 1 Abrams, 3 Hassel, 4 Wood, and 10 Susana, Yarlin Susana, who was also in this deal. So they got 4 of their top 10. Again, I just don't know how much better you can, and a legit arm who could be a frontliner. What else were you really expecting?
Yeah.
I know it's Juan Soto. I know. Stop saying that as a response, everyone. It's Juan Soto. No shit. I know who
if they can get Patrick Corbin and Strasburg anywhere close to back to being MLB like average starters, much less close to what their original form was, they would now have Josiah Gray, Strasburg, Corbin, and now Mackenzie Gore. That's a legit great rotation if all of those pieces come together. Now, that's a big if. It's a big if, especially for Strasburg and Corbin. But, and then they've got a Cavalli coming up from the minor leagues. Like, the future is bright. If they weren't going to be able to sign Juan Soto, this is probably the best they were going to do.
But they just weren't going to sign him. I don't know about able, of course. We know that. But they're also in like a sell situation right now. So I don't know. This might make them more appealing to sell because you're not on the hook for $500 million to Juan Soto. So who knows? Let's go to Milwaukee. We added a new closer to the league. The only thing is Devin Williams is pretty much rostered everywhere because he's so good as a middle reliever, at least as far as like the main event, literally 100%. Those shallow leagues where he's available, though, how crazy are you going? Is he an all-in for your chips type of guy with Devin Williams in Milwaukee?
I think so. However, I want to issue this caveat, and every time I issue the caveat, people yell at me. And so I'm ready for you to yell at me. There's no guarantees he's the quote-unquote closer. Like, they did bring in Taylor Rogers, too. This is a team.
What reason would there be to believe that he isn't, though? That like they're competing. He's so much better than anybody else.
The Brewers are a forward-thinking organization that puts their best relievers sometimes in the best spots.
Sometimes, but no, Hader's been an unencumbered closer for years, though. So they don't really do that. He's been the go-to button.
I think there's a 90% chance that Williams is the guy and is a top 5 closer rest of the way. So you have to go all in on a guy like that. Yeah. But I'm reserving. There is a small chance that they say, no, we like Williams in the role that we have him in. And now we've brought in Taylor Rogers, who has shown that he can close. I know he's been struggling as of late.
Yeah, but he was pitching like shit.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying. It's a very small chance. I'd be very surprised too. But
the part is it's just not actionable though. So that's the thing. Like I think
so on upside alone, like Williams legitimately replaces Rafael Iglesias as potentially the number 3 closer in fantasy.
Agreed. And to the point of how good he is just as a middle reliever, even at ESPN leagues, and I say that even not to like slander, but because they cater to shallow leagues.
Yeah, 10 teams.
He's 49% roster.
Yeah.
So like that tells you where people.
He's gonna be 90%.
Well, yeah, and that's up 11 points. So he was still 38% as a middle reliever. So that's where Dev Williams is at. Obviously, you got to go all in if you need saves. This is exactly what you're looking for. What are you doing with Rogers then? Because I agree with you that like I still think he's a very capable reliever and could do the job if they wanted him to. I do believe it's going to be Williams as well. But do you think Rogers is worth holding in any capacity?
I mean, through maybe the weekend or something like that, we're going to know pretty quick who the guy is. Like they're going to, the Brewers will win a game or two and we'll see who's first man up. First time Williams gets 2 saves, I'm dropping Rogers.
Yeah, and Williams hasn't pitched since Saturday, so he's going to be super available. So there won't have to be any of that like, oh, we don't know who it was.
Oh, he just picked 2 straight days. No.
He's free and clear right now, so we're gonna get word. Estuary Ruiz got sent out immediately, but what do you think? Could he come back up? He wasn't doing anything in his sample so far this year, but he's still an intriguing prospect with a bunch of speed. Do you like Ruiz at all to come back up and maybe be a factor for Milwaukee, or is this more of a long-term?
It's a probably long-term play. Maybe he comes back up if there's an injury, but at this point he needs an injury on that infield or in the outfield to kind of make waves. That being said, like if he does come back up, he's got speed for everywhere. He's got speed for days. Like if he's going to play every day, he could legit steal 20 bases rest of the way, no problem. On a team that likes to run. So I mean, like If he comes back up and he looks like he's going to get full run, I'm picking him up.
Okay, that's Estuary Ruiz, not Tributary Ruiz. Do not get those two confused. You don't want to make that mistake. No, that's a good joke. That's actually a good, smart pun. So sorry you're stupid. Let's go to St. Louis. Hey, guess what they did this year? They got two lefties at the deadline. Now, last year they got two crusty lefties when they got John Lester and Jay Happ, and we roundly made fun of them, which I thought was for good reason. But in typical Cardinals Devil magic, both pitched quite adequately. Neither was like a stud, but they were both about like league average guys for combined 120 innings. So joke was on us. These guys are substantially better. Jose Quintana and Jordan Montgomery. What a stunner that was. We totally thought that meant they're getting somebody big to fill in that spot. Nope, they didn't do anything. They just traded Jordan Montgomery for Harrison Bader. So let's start with Montgomery. What do you think about him moving from New York to the Cards?
I know a lot of people shit on kind of the Cardinals deadline, but this is what the Cardinals do, man. Yeah. The Cardinals don't spend a lot. They come away with guys that are underwhelming, and these guys end up being really, really good pieces for them. Quintana's quietly been a really, really good pitcher in Pittsburgh. He now moves to a park that's great. Not that he was in a bad park before, but
no, but he's defensive support.
Defense that's fantastic, and an offense that's going to score him some runs. Jordan Montgomery moves from the worst division to pitch in one of the worst parks in baseball to pitch in, to one of the best parks in baseball to pitch in, with the best defense in baseball to pitch in front of, and a great division to pitch in. Like, you can't ask for better landing spots for both of these guys. Montgomery's quietly started to take a step forward. I've never been a believer in him, but he has turned me around this year. And I think this is going to be a huge part to the reason why he's going to be on a lot of my teams next season. I think he's going to have a huge end of the year. I love Jordan Montgomery.
Huge fan of Jordan Montgomery myself. So I'm just excited to see this. I think this could be even better for him with that defense. Like you said, Quintana is only 39% in the RotoWire Online Championship, which is 12 teams. Where should that roster rate be? It's at 39% right now for Quintana.
Probably 70.
I was going to say like 70 or 80.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's quietly pitched really, really well. Like, I mean,
been wonderful.
Yeah,
I think he could
for a guy you've gotten off the wire, like, he's been great. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, they got two lefties, both look good. I don't think Montgomery has availability even in like 10 teamers, right? He should be a 100% guy at ESPN. No,
probably.
Let me check just to make sure. 86%, but that could be dead. Like a lot of that's probably dead leagues anyway. But if he's available, of course, go get Montgomery as well, even more so than Quintana. Let's go to the Cubs. Who closes? Last man standing was Rowan Wick, I guess.
Carlos Marmol.
There you go. You got in on the person. Yeah. That's a callback there.
Yeah. There you go.
But yeah, like we got Wick in there. Is he the only guy you're going for? And then who cares anyway?
I mean, here's the crazy part. They didn't get drastically worse. I mean, outside the bullpen.
No, of course not. Yeah.
So like they're probably gonna like continue their pace, which makes whoever the closer becomes somewhat valuable.
It's fair.
I don't
probably just Wick though, because you don't know these other guys. Don't pretend you know who Brandon Hughes or Eric Uelman is.
I don't.
Michael Rucker. Like, these are fake players.
I wonder if there's someone in AAA that they could bring up that would make sense. I'm just Braylon Marquez is still injured. It looks like,
yeah. Caleb Killian.
Don't know who that is.
He's from your Giants, you dummy. From last year's deadline.
Don't remember.
Okay, well, he has a 29% strikeout rate, 11% walk rate at AAA as a starter. Maybe going in the if they would put him in the bullpen. They might believe in him as a starter, though. So I'm just throwing out a name. I don't know. I think it's Rowan Wick. We don't need to spend too much time. We're already approaching 2 hours. What about my boy Zach McKinstry? He gets traded out there from the Dodgers. Could find some playing time.
This is an underrated move. Underrated move.
So too. I love Zach McKinstry. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
But is there actually something there? Is he going to play?
I think he's going to. I think he's going to be a Swiss Army knife for this team on a team that really, David Ross kind of, took up the Joe Madden. He likes these Swiss Army knife kind of guys, right? And I think that's what McKinstry could be. He wasn't getting the playing time in Los Angeles. I think he should be able to get the playing time in Chicago because they need to see whether or not he's going to be part of the next good Chicago Cubs team. So, I think especially in deeper leagues, he might be worth a roster spot. Kind of see through the end of the week,
team?
like, in a 15 team.
Ninth today, but that's just in for Madrigal, who's just off the IL.
But that's playing. He's playing. He's in the lineup. I don't, if he's going to bat, he might bat ninth for now, but like, if he's playing,
I was saying more the second base because
okay.
obviously second's not going to be where he resides, but you just think he dots around.
Yeah, I think he dots around. I think he's a super utility, and if he can get five starts a week, that makes him 15-team viable.
I fully on board with that. Say less. And crushing at AAA this year. I think he's kind of like he's 27, like he should be. So I don't want to overrate that too much, but like he's figured that level out. It's time to see if he can hit at the major league level. He looks like a Cronenworth, Zobrist type, in that long line of those players now that we're starting to see add up. That's Zach McKinstry with the Cubs. In Cincinnati, of course, they made some moves and they cleared out some space. Jake Fraley could be somebody to look at because Tommy Pham is out. He could slot in the left. Loved him coming into the year. Injuries,
derailed
totally
him.
Have derailed his season. Are you back interested in Jake Fraley? He was a popular pickup this past week, but now with Pham gone, I think he'll go up even more in leagues where he wasn't picked up that first time.
I mean, I guess like you could take a dart throw and hope and pray, but like right now it looks like he's going to be in a strong side platoon. And I just don't know that Reds team is that interesting. It's a great park, and maybe he could go on a heater and be
that's
really
the thing.
interesting.
That's that park, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
If he's playing,
I guess.
Like, why is Albert Almora got to play?
He doesn't.
77 WRC plus, Matt Reynolds. I don't know. I think even with just strong side, I'm kind of interested by Fraley. Maybe I'm just a sucker.
This offense is so bad. They're rostering 3 catchers right now.
I know it's absolutely, and one of them that's fake name.
Yeah,
and one of them's Austin freaking Romine, for crying out loud. Aristides Aquino's back from the IL. Do you have more interest in him or Jake Fraley? There's room for both.
Fraley because he's got speed to his game.
Agreed. So.
And
with Tyler Mahle traded out, I guess they have room for a 5th starter. But like, is there anybody you'd care about? Justin Dunn, does that do anything for you?
I like Justin Dunn in the past, so a little bit, but I don't know where he's at health wise. Like, is he?
He's not done anything in the minors, dude.
Yeah, so because he was injured. So, Brandon Williamson was a guy like I talked about in our 1000th episode with Eno as a potential deep sleeper. He's not on the 40 man, so they'd have to make room.
Yeah, and he's struggled in the minors as well.
Then screw it.
To AAA. Yeah, I don't think they got anybody right now. We'll see if somebody cultivates, but right now, nothing for that 5th starter role in Cincy. Pittsburgh, nothing notable. The Dodgers, Joey Gallo. And you know what? I'm very happy for him. Reading about
reading about how awfully he was treated in New York.
I've already ranted on it a couple times, but the way they pride themselves on just treating their own players like garbage, I hate it so much.
For those who don't know, like there was a tweet thread about Joey Gallo talking about how it got so ugly with just people on the street that he refused to leave his own house.
It doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Listen, as a Giants fan, I love to see the Dodgers actively make their team worse, while other teams make their team better. As a human being and as a fan of Joey Gallo, I hope he's good. Like I hope just getting out of New York and getting in a more comfortable environment for him is beneficial. It sucks that it'll be on the Dodgers. And if any team can get the most out of a guy like Gallo, it's probably the Dodgers. But like, I hope he's good. Like,
it just be a mental block too, of like how miserable that is. Because his core skills are still there. He still takes his walks. Joey Gallo does. He still has at least a 180 ISO, which is a good enough springboard that if he gets going, I can easily see him back in like the 250 ISO like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he's completely cooked. And the mental piece of it could be alleviated here. And I wouldn't even be surprised if he took off.
The problem is the downside of the fact that they are now potentially starting 3 guys out of 9 that are hitting like Mendoza line or worse. I mean, I don't know if you saw my tweet.
Them in order, right? Muncy, Bellinger, and Gallo.
I don't know if you saw my tweet thread from last week, but I talked about how Joey Gallo and Max Muncy Muncy have historically bad batting averages right now for how much they're playing. They are hit in the last 100 years. Like they are among the league leaders in worst seasons from a batting average perspective, right up there with Chris Davis, who they're in 2018. They're both worse than this year.
Wow, this is exactly what it reminded me of. That article about how much Chris Davis like beats himself up. His was the other way; it's more internal. I'm sure he was hearing it from fans, but not to the degree.
No, I mean, Baltimore didn't have a lot of fans in 2018.
That's what I'm saying. So. Like, it's not going to be the same as New York. And like, I know there'll be some people like, "Oh, Snowflake got to just deal with it. It's part of the job." It's like, is it though? Is it really part of the job to be heckled on the streets? Like a lot of players, and to their credit, probably because they get eaten alive otherwise. But like to their credit, they're like all's fair on the field as long as you're not saying stuff about my family.
My tweet was, in the last 100 years, the worst qualified batting average from a qualified hitter was 168 from Chris Davis in 2018. Both Gallo and Muncy are on pace to beat that.
Oof. Man, and, we wanted nothing to do with Muncy coming into the year. And like,
I didn't think he'd be this bad. Like, I thought he'd get hurt and not play.
I disagree. I'm going to give you credit because I feel like you did based on your ranking. I think you absolutely did.
Yeah.
Because you weren't even ranking him to the point where you're saying, like, I don't care that he's playing. I don't want him anywhere near anything. So I actually would give you more kudos on your strident.
But in a lot of ways, he's been worse than I thought he would be.
He's been brutal, man.
Like, because he's actively tanked you consistently. And if you continue to roster him,
Muncy's killing you.
He's ruined your season.
I have been like, not weirded out. I don't want to overstate it, but it's like it's kind of funny to see the people that have Muncy still twist themselves into pretzels to try to say anything but the elbow is the problem. They're like, well, what about the elbow? What about the clear and present problem that we know?
If it's not the elbow, then what is it? Like, because
that's what I'm saying.
Like, nothing else makes sense.
No, like, it's grasping. It's grasping. For sure. So James,
because otherwise you're just saying he's just a shit hitter. Like,
then he's a garbage
player. And he's not, because he's still like got a really good batting eye. He just when he makes contact, which isn't as often as he can't catch up to stuff because he can't extend his elbow in the way that he did. Like he has no drive with that arm.
He shouldn't be playing, I don't think.
No, he should have gotten the surgery and sat out 6 months. And if he had done that at the beginning of the season, he'd be back playing now.
Yeah, it's clear that it's very.
This is clearly an issue. Yeah.
So James Outman obviously has taken the world by storm with his first 8 plate appearances. He's 5 for 6 with 4 runs, 2 doubles, and a homer. I think he'll keep this pace, but probably in a bench capacity. I think he'll keep his 550 WRC plus. But no, he does lose out here because he was slotting into the outfield. I don't think he's going to play a whole lot. He might even get sent back down. To be honest, like, are they going to keep both Outman and Chase Thompson? I don't know. And in addition to that, they called up Miguel Vargas, a premium prospect who I'm very excited about. Which
probably means Justin Turner sitting the IL, right?
You would think, because I don't think that they're calling up Miguel Vargas to not play him, right?
Yeah, no, I don't think you bring up Vargas to play. Vargas is a top-tier prospect, top 20 prospect in baseball. He is the clear, next man up for Turner once Turner retires. In his time seems like it's right now because Turner's hurt. Vargas is crushing AAA. I just traded for him in a dynasty league. Super excited to see what he can bring to the table. This is what is so annoying about the Dodgers is not only do they have a really good team, they continuously have a really good farm system too because they're really good at developing
Turner's
talent.
Already on the IL, by the way.
So he was not on the IL as of this morning and is not on the IL on roster resource. So
no, they were just saying like it happened.
It just happened.
Move.
Okay.
Yeah.
I assume that's what it was. I like Vargas a lot. I think he is he's a big pickup this weekend in like 15-team leagues. Yep. But I think like even in shallower leagues, like he's a sneaky pickup. Like I don't think there's going to be so many people that place an emphasis on the new closers, on other positions opening up that Vargas may go under the radar a little bit. He shouldn't.
Yeah, no, I think you're dead on with that. With Miguel Vargas, couldn't have said it better. I'm big on him, eager to see what happens. Fade the James Outman hype right now. He's just not going to play. And I'm interested in Gallo in like a 12 teamer if I'm desperate for power. If I'm trying to Hail Mary it a bit, I'm more in that like last quarter of my league, but I still feel like I'm kind of competitive. That's where I'm going to Hail Mary somebody like Gallo in the 10 or 12 team.
Especially because Gallo's going to play because, in spite of the fact that, and I'm going to double check it right now, but at least like a month ago, in spite of his bad offensive numbers, he actually had a positive WAR.
Yeah.
Because he's so good defensively.
Yes, 0.3.
He continues to have a positive WAR because he's so good defensively. He's going to play every day. So even if he struggled, he may bat low. But batting low in that Dodger lineup, if you're walking 15% of the time, it means you got Mookie Betts hitting behind you.
Yeah, he could score a boatload of runs.
He could restart the bottom of that lineup and still score a bunch of runs because he walks at a 15% rate. So, I think Gallo, if Gallo is dropped in your leagues, he might be worth picking up here.
I totally agree. And like I said, particularly in scenarios where you're like, hey, I'm more in a Hail Mary scenario, I'm trying to go for it. He's at only 39% rostered in the 12-team RotoWire Online Championship for Gallo. So that's a lot of availability there. And I do think that that's the spot where he can be sneaky, and still 15% in the main event availability. He's 85% rostered there. So we'll see some big bids for him this weekend, I bet. All right, let's get to the team of the hour. Or the second hour, I guess, of the show. San Diego, obviously, they've done so many things. We don't really need to get in on Soto, though, because we really are focused on the fantasy impact here. And obviously, there's nothing as far as pickup or drop with him. Do you think this unlocks like a 2-month run from heaven for him, though? Do you think Soto just pops off here?
I mean, not necessarily, but like it's just a better team. Like he not only is better. He's not only just moving to a better team, he's taking the other best player on his team with him.
The partner in crime.
Yeah. So
there's no availability for Bell really anywhere either. I don't think so.
And this team's gonna get better because it's gonna get Tatis back. At some point, there's gonna be a variation of Tatis, Machado, Juan Soto. I don't know how exactly it's going to play out in terms of where they all hit in the lineup, but like that's going to be a 2, 3, 4 in the lineup, and good luck trying to pitch it. There was a time earlier this season in which you were streaming against San Diego because they were struggling so hard. There's going to be a point in which you are going to question starting your stud against San Diego.
Yes, you are 100% right on that. It's going to be scary. Now, we found the team that's going to ruin Brandon Drury because I think when Tatis comes back, he might not play every day, man. I am worried about the playing time. And this was the big thing. Like, you had a guy batting second in a brilliant park, taking it full advantage of it. Brandon Drury was killing it. He is benefited by the fact that he can play so many spots, so he should be able to dot around the field, but he ain't playing every day. Like when Tatis gets back. For now, I still think he can. But once Tatis gets back, I think Drury could be sitting 2-3 times a week, which would really suck. What do you think about Drury out to San Diego?
Yeah, once Tatis comes back, it could crush him. Because one of the other guys they were trying to move off of this team was Will Myers. He's going to have to, they still have Jurickson Profar and Jake Cronenworth. All those guys are going to play.
I think it destroys Myers when Tatis gets back. I think he's
absolutely
in bigger trouble than Drury.
I think he's probably already. I picked up Myers for like $1 in our main event on the hopes that they did trade him, and wherever he went, he got full-time playing.
Exactly. That was a good thought.
He's going to get dropped here. It's just unfortunate for Drury that
you can't do anything about it though, right? Because he's been too good.
You got your value from him. I don't care if you spend $200 on him in Fab. You got your
absolutely. But you're not cutting preemptively though, are you?
Don't J Hook saying, don't you dare forget Nomar Mazara. Just
how dare
he's on the rundown, baby. We're gonna get to him.
Yeah, we got
I don't
Nomar
think
Mazara on here.
I don't think you can drop him because
I don't think so either.
We don't know for sure when Tatis is getting back, and he could have a setback. Machado's had injury issues in the past.
Profar's not Mr. Healthy.
Profar has been the opposite of Mr. Healthy. Will Myers has been the opposite of Mr. Healthy. Anything can happen. So like you just gotta ride it for right now. Yep. And then once everybody is back, then maybe you drop him and move on.
It's a bummer, but there's nothing to be done about it. And you cross your fingers that, hey, he keeps playing and does well in a much better team now. He does lose the park benefit, but he's going to a good team, and Brandon Drury can still hit. So I am bummed just because I do worry about the playing time a little bit, but it could still be good. It's not a cut situation or anything. Josh Hader, nothing really to say with him. He's going to be the closer.
Elite, yeah.
And then Mazzara was that last guy there.
R.I.P.
He and Myers are cooked, especially once Tatis gets back.
Yeah,
I think they have to DFA one of them. Or no, they can send down Azakar.
They've got other guys.
He's just there until the other guys get there.
Yeah,
Soto, Bell, and Drury are going to report soon, and then somebody else.
Mazzara's already cooked. Like it's done.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't need Tatis to come back. There's too many guys now.
I agree.
You just drop him. You thank him for his service. He hit like 300 in a brief sample, and you're fine with that. You move on.
And he's depth guy. If something else comes up, right?
Yeah.
Because injuries do happen. So these guys
maybe he gets traded to, like, he's shown like he can actually be a productive major league player again, and maybe he gets traded in the offseason.
Yeah, exactly. We could see something for Mazzara there. All right, we talked about the J.D. Davis situation for your Giants. They got him in a million prospects for Darren Ruff. Any interest in J.D. Davis, or is he just going to be short side platoon because y'all platoon everybody?
Yeah, probably short side platoon. Maybe he unlocks some magic. I mean, this is a StatCast hero type guy, right? A guy who's in the past has had just really amazing underlying metrics that said that, hey, if he got full-time playing time, he could be good. And the Giants have a bunch of older guys. Like, he could find himself playing somewhat regularly, especially with Longoria hurt, Brandon Crawford hurt. Like, like maybe they do find, Tyro Estrada on concussion IL. Maybe he does find full-time playing time. But I think you need to see it first. Like, let's see how it plays out over the next few days. The nice thing is that the Giants play in the NOS with a lot of lefties. So he could get a fair amount of playing time, even if
JD could be a spot starter type here and there where he has the right weeks where you're like, hey, 3 lefties coming up, let's get him in. Colorado didn't do shit, and Arizona, like Emmanuel Rivera, do you have any intrigue in him whatsoever? Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
Colorado re-signed Daniel Bard.
They did, but who cares about that? Yeah,
what the hell? They didn't trade any of their guys. They had Colomé, Iglesias, Carlos Estevez, and somebody else on one year deals. They didn't trade any of those guys.
Still done?
No, I think they still got one more year.
No,
was Blackman
free agent 2023.
They didn't trade him either. Yeah.
So I don't know. And I think, again, though, in fairness on at least like Blackman, who's buying? Because he can't play defense. He costs money. And so maybe there just wasn't a buyer there, but some of those arms, man.
How much of an Arenado's deal did they eat to move him? Like they would have eaten the rest of Blackman's deal to move him.
No. Like, who wants him though? Like who didn't get an outfielder that would even want to give an asset then if they're eating the money? That's what I'm saying. Who is it really an upgrade for? He's a good player, but in a 2-month sample, he's not moving the needle for anybody.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is the deadline deals trades are against the Rockies organizational ethos. Sorry, it took me so much to read that, but that's really funny, J-Hook. But we did it. We covered all the teams, all 30 teams. Well, I mean, the ones some did nothing, but that's the rundown. I don't think we really missed anybody that's really going to be impacted by this. There's a lot of different things that are going to play. They're going to be dominoes down the line where it's like, hey, this guy's going to end up being the go-to. My favorite of that is JP Sears. Kind of not one of the bigger names out there. I really think he can be a badass. Do it, Jen.
Do it, Jen. Jen's threatening to turn off the lights. I'm surprised my wife hasn't texted me. We've been out here so long.
Our lights are on, Wi-Fi there. So
there you go.
Do you have a name there that is? I guess it's Marsh for you because he's not.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, he's not super high end, but you believe he can be a real game changer potential.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's available in shallower formats and stuff like
exactly.
that. I mean, Molly. I think Molly's got the best.
But he's not available.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think I'm looking for somebody that you could get.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, great talking with you, man. We did an epic one to make up for the fact that we didn't do anything last week, but I'm healed. I feel good.
And just a heads up for those who nobody knows, I haven't said it publicly. I'm getting surgery on my mouth tomorrow. It's not minor surgery. It is real, like major oral surgery. I do not know how well I'll be able to talk by Friday. So
don't you worry. I got you.
Yeah, if I can talk, I will be back.
You let me know, but you are not on the hook for anything.
And unfortunately, like I can't take pain medication or narcotics, so like I don't get like the narcotics to knock you out, and I don't get anything to recover from. So I may be in some pretty rough shape. If you ask me questions, or like I'll write my article tonight, but that may be the last from me for the rest of the week.
I think that's the way to play it. You recover and you don't worry about that.
Hopefully I'll be back on Friday, but if not, I'll see you guys probably on Tuesday next week.
All right, man. Take care.
Take it easy.